I'm quite an adventurous person, even though a lot of people don't see me that way, but I am.
Would you jump off a plane?
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. I'm not that adventurous.
All right, welcome back. It's still your lovely Asharami Radio Live. And yes, we promised you that we're going to have legacy in the house today. Literally legacy with us. And it's my absolute pleasure to welcome to Asharami studio today no other person but Mrs. Bimbo Oloyede. Welcome to Asharami Media Studios. We are honored to have you at Sahara here today. We want to play the classic tune of the network news, and let us see if we can have some nostalgia right here.
Oh my goodness me. This is going back. Good evening and welcome to the news at 9. First, the headlines. What headlines are you going to pick?
Well, today in Asharami Studios, we have no other person than Bimbo Oloyede. There's a question I have for you. And I was privileged to meet a veteran like yourself too. And she said something that in recent times, most people that are going into the network news or going into public speaking or going on the radio, all they think of having is just a nice voice. And they feel that that's good enough. And they go out there. And it seems as though it is bringing some, how will I put it? It's not having the same prestige and importance like it used to have. So what is your viewpoint on that generally?
That's an interesting question. A nice voice is not enough. What do you do with your voice? How do you use your voice to make impact? How do you use your voice to bring the material that you have in front of you to life? What have you done to train yourself to ensure that you know how to pause, for instance? You know which words to emphasize. You know at which point to bring your inflection up or bring it down. All of these are part of what you're supposed to do to make your voice work for you. So having a nice voice that's just the first step. That's the starting point.
It's like, it reminds me of a popular quote that someone said, talent is not enough. So the voice is the talent, but there's a refining process it needs to go through to ensure it arrives. Amazing. So I just want to ask, you've had an amazing journey and you started off with an amazing milestone, being the first female news anchor on Nigerian television, and that's way back in 1976. That's a long time ago.
Actually, yes, I was the first female newscaster for the network.
Yes.
For network news.
Okay.
Yes, because I did have seniors who read the news on TV, but I was fortunate to have been selected to go network, to go nationwide. Let's put it like that.
Amazing.
Yes, it was. It was quite an interesting. I'm not quite sure how to put it. It was a rude shock, actually, because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't even employed to be a presenter. I was employed as an assistant producer.
That's
so
amazing.
it just happened that we in the drama department, which is where I was working, we were given a directive. The head of state at the time had been assassinated. There was a curfew. Artists were not able to come to the studio because there was no movement. Yeah. And so we were simply told, okay, you people, you are in the drama department, move from behind the camera, come to...
Wow. So it was just like opportunity met preparation.
Well, yes, that's really... And even then, you see, I can't even say it was opportunity because I didn't know anything about it. I was just told, okay, so Bimbo, you are going to do this. Somebody else will do this. Another person will do something else. So mine was poetry. I read poetry. And at the time I was reading it, I had absolutely no idea that they were looking for fresh faces, looking for fresh voices, or that the network news was in the offing. So having read the poetry, I was just called by my controller of programs one day, and she said, 24 hours, that's what I give you.
Wow.
24 hours for what? And I remember the late Art Alade was in her office. He happened actually to have been a relative of mine. That's Dari's
Yes,
father.
yes.
And when my controller said this, well, get ready, you're going network tomorrow. I looked at him, as if to say, that's how I started.
Can you remember how that felt? I know it's a long time ago. That's
was,
about 50 years ago now.
I was shell-shocked because,
Wow.
as I said, I really wasn't expecting it at all. But as it happened, I had, from my younger days, from my school days, I had been taking part in public speaking. I had
Yes.
had elocution lessons and all that sort of thing. So really, I was preparing without knowing what I was preparing for.
Yeah.
Well, the 24 hours came and went, and we went on air, and we started.
And here you are.
And here I am, quite.
Wow. It's amazing to see, and I pick quite a number of lessons from that. So
That's it.
looking back, was that the moment that you would say accelerated your career, or what role did that play in the entirety of your career from then going forward?
Yes, I mean, it was more than leapfrog. It was a huge jump. Because as I said, I thought I was going to be a producer.
Yes.
And then somehow, here I was as a news anchor or newscaster, as we were called in those days, a TV presenter. And it made a huge difference to my career because it was from presenting TV programs and reading the news that I now became interested in mainstream journalism. But beyond that, I also was invited from time to time to host live events. Now, that was something I had never done. So I was doing this, and then somehow I found myself doing that.
Yes.
And from that came several other things.
Wow.
So definitely that was the point that my career
Took
took
a
off.
jump.
Yes, it took off. I didn't know it was going to be a career because I wasn't expecting it. But it was exciting. I enjoyed it. And yeah,
So it's safe to say that you did not choose broadcasting. Broadcasting chose you.
I think that is 100%.
Wow. Such a beautiful story. And okay, now just to ask, since you moved through, and I believe this would give some level of clarity and knowledge to people who are navigating different forms of life. Maybe they've gotten into a system that they seem, at sea about, and they want to stay accelerated in the process. Now, journeying through the complexity of the broadcasting industry 50 years ago, I'm sure it was very, very, it was tough. First of all, the entry of the first woman on the network news and just coming in as a greenhorn and then seeing a lot. How did you navigate those peculiar challenges? And if there are any you could spotlight, it would be helpful, how you went through that season in your career.
I think I've always been someone who is willing to give something a shot. I'm willing to try quite a lot of things. I'm quite an adventurous person, even though a lot of people don't see me that way. But I am.
Would you jump off a plane?
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. I'm not that adventurous.
Okay.
I think that I was given a variety of different opportunities. And maybe because of the way I grew up, I left home when I was 8.
Whoa.
I was sent to a boarding school in the UK. And so from the age of 8, really, I lived with, let me say, strangers. So a few of the people that I lived with were relatives of mine, but in the main, in the boarding school, I really didn't know anybody. I think I had some cousins who were there, but apart from that, I lived with people that I didn't know. And I got used to I got used to living with people that I didn't know. I got used to, I could adapt myself to a
Yes.
variety of situations. So finding myself in this situation, it was simply coming out of one place where I had to find my way through
Yes.
into another place where I had to do exactly the same thing. It was just that the environment and the circumstances were different. But the basic mindset of, well, here I am, what do I do now?
Yes.
Okay,
Let's go.
let's go, let's get on with it. And that's exactly what I did.
You know, this is really profound for me because you're speaking to something that is at the core of human nature, adaptability. However, it seems like the generation that we are dealing with now is not used to that term, adaptability. So we are used to comfort. We are used to things bending our way. We are not used to, bending with the wind.
Let me use a word that you will not like, entitlement.
Okay, now this will lead me to my question, and this is I want you to speak to us as not just a professional, as a mother, as someone who is experienced, as someone who has seen the world change over 5 decades, and I think the world has changed dramatically.
Add grandmother.
Grandmother, whoa! I'm sorry. I should have started with that because this silver hair of yours, I can tell you I'm looking forward to when my beard will be that color. Okay, the question I have is this. How can we encourage those old values, adaptability, tenacity, dropping entitlement, to stay accelerated? Are there some things that you think have become distractions in the time that we are in now that people don't realize is impacting on their ability to press on and to make impact? You know, just speak freely from your heart regarding this.
I think, quite frankly, this is one of the biggest problems.
This is one of the biggest problems. This is the exhibit.
It is a huge advantage, but at the same time, it has become an issue. And I say this because the values that you're talking about they are passed down. They are passed down by example. They are passed down by communication. And one of the biggest problems with these mobile devices is that we have communication, but we do not have connection.
Connection.
Yes. So we have communication, we have connectivity, but we don't have
Connection.
So if you don't have that connection, where and how are you going to learn the values that you're talking about?
Tacit values.
Where are you going to see it displayed? If you are in a place where some of those values are being displayed, you're not going to see it anyway because
You're stuck on your phone.
your head is down. It's not up. Your ears and your eyes and all your senses are honed in to this device. So if somebody is doing something even 10 feet away that is something that could be an action that you could learn from, you won't see it.
Wow.
You won't hear it. You won't sense it. You won't feel it.
Wow.
So, yes, there is magic in this device, but there are also some demons in it.
I dare say a lot of demons in it. Wow. So how would you say, we've stated the fact, we've stated the problem. How do you think we can, break away from some of these things and stay accelerated on the path that we are going on?
I think there is a way, if we can get people to be interested in it. Now, this same device is being used by a lot of people to teach a whole lot of things to do with self-development, for
Yes,
instance.
yes.
And self-development also includes things like integrity,
Yes.
honesty, etc., etc. Since people have understood that this is probably the way forward, that is, these devices,
They are not going anywhere.
they're not going anywhere. And since we also have people who are using them to teach those values, I think maybe what we have to do is to find how we can get people to be interested in what those people are saying,
Yes.
what those people are doing. And so we could also maybe take it a step further and say, okay, if what this generation is interested in is entertainment, how can we infuse,
Some education into it.
yes, how do we, I think it is the United Nations that coined it as edutainment
Edutainment,
some
yes.
time ago.
Yes.
I think that is valid. And I think it is it's a way forward. But we have to be really creative so that the edutainment does not also become boring.
Boring.
Because again, the attention span is so limited.
You
So
have to crunch things into
yeah,
seconds.
That's
literally.
it. You really have to pack the message into as short a time as possible. Almost like the commercials that that we are all used to, and have been produced over the years.
Yes.
I mean, 60 seconds. Well, if it goes to an infomercial, maybe you're talking about 90 seconds or 2 minutes, but you can get the messages
Yes.
out through those short
Amazing.
periods of time. Yeah.
So you're right. So what do you think about ChatGPT?
ChatGPT is actually an amazing AI tool. I've learned quite a lot from using ChatGPT. Occasionally, I am looking for something. I have an idea, and maybe I haven't got time to really bother that particular topic. What I would do is ask ChatGPT the question that I think will give me the answer that I want. So I think the thing about ChatGPT is to ask the right questions, because it can give you any information, but half the information might be totally irrelevant.
Yes.
So you need to know what question you want to ask. You need to know how to prompt it to give you the right result. And when I do that, sometimes it gives me a few ideas that I hadn't even thought about.
And you build on that.
And I build on that, yes. I weave it in here and there and build on it.
Amazing. I asked it almost like a banana peel. But then you came out strong. And it's even, it's encouraging to see that transition, because many people, they clamp down on things like that. I think the problem is some people are no longer thinking for themselves. But just like you said, if you ask it the right questions, it sparks your creativity and you can move
But
faster.
even in the in the universities, I mean, a lot of lecturers and professors are fully aware that students use ChatGPT. And the last time I was speaking to a lecturer in mass communication, he told me that it is becoming acceptable for you to use ChatGPT but credit it.
Wow.
So I'm not quite sure how widespread that is, but people know.
They can't deny it anymore.
They can't deny it. In any case, there are fact checkers that will apps that will tell
Yes.
you if
it's how much percentage
yes,
of AI
yes.
has
But
been used.
I think that it's fair enough if you give ChatGPT or Gemini or Bard, whatever you want to call it, if you give it its due credit, but then you also have to make the effort and add information.
it yours.
Yes,
Yes.
you have to do more
Yes,
research.
yes,
You just can't hand in a whole essay and say, "Na ChatGPT do am."
All right, it's been a pleasure, an honor to have you here,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Bimbo Oloyede.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And like we say in Sahara, stay mad, making a difference.
A difference, yeah.
Asharami Radio. the darkest.